All right, now I'm able to calculate. So I have my 2017 net income over equity. So I will demonstrate how to use either this table, the first table, or your transpose table in order to get your data the way you want it. So to get return on equity, I want my net income divided by my equity, right? It's 29.06%. This is defaulting to my percentage value, but a lot of times you'll get something like this. You'll get general formatting. What you want to do is you want to change it into percents, and you want to adjust decimal using these. It is used. You can decrease decimal or you can increase decimal. In this class, I want you to submit information and assignments using 2 decimal spaces. Now, I would like to use the very powerful capability in Excel, dragging data. So, I want to drag my formula down. If I go to that very end right bottom corner of the cell, my cursor is going to change into a cross. If I left click on the mouse and hold and drag it down, it will drag my formula. But notice, when I drag this formula, Excel doesn't know what to do with it. That's because my cells are not corresponding to the same variable in that column. This is why we transpose the data. So you can manually enter formula for each of your years, net income for 2018 divided by equity, and do it. But then every single time you click and make it manual, you run the possibility of making a small error. Instead, we can use the transposed table, when we can use 2007 net income divided by total equity for 2007 and do the exact same thing. But now I'll calculate, and notice I just dragged and Excel automatically adjusted the years that were in question. Let's do the same for net income and sales. Net income for 2017 divided by total sales in 2017. I can click and drag, and notice again, my formula automatically adjusted net income 2018 divided by total sales. But because I can, I have all of these variables in the respective rows for each one of them. What I can do, I can create formulas in these cells across row 24 and just drag it all at once at the end. So let's go ahead and do that. Sales divided by assets, so my total revenue for 2017 divided by total assets will be such. And now I can do percent and increase decimal. Then I have assets over equity. Let's create a check. Remember, DuPont decomposition means that net profit margin, asset turnover, and equity multiplier tell me how my return on equity changed and what's driving it. What that also means is if I multiply these 3 variables, I should also get return on equity, the exact same value that I calculated. So let's go ahead and do that. Multiply this and multiply, which is a star in Excel, and see if I got the same number. Looks quite close. Let's see. I got the exact same number. So I want you to do that for that assignment as well. And let me highlight and drag, and same here. Notice all of my numbers are the same. And we'll analyze this in just a minute. Now for my liquidity ratios. My current ratio will be my current assets divided by current liabilities. My quick ratios will be open parentheses, current assets minus inventory divided by current liabilities. And my cash ratio will be my cash divided by my current liabilities. Notice that all three of these ratios have the same denominator, so you can also check whether you're referencing the same cell in the denominator as a check for yourself. And now I can highlight that top row and drag it down. It will calculate my liquidity ratios for me. I can now label my my analysis. Let's say this is going to be my DuPont analysis or decomposition, which is also, that's what it's called, and these will be my liquidity ratios. In order for it to correspond to all of the columns that I have here that relate to my DuPont decomposition, I can highlight the cells that correspond to my different ratios, and I can merge and center, and my title will be spread over those cells. This is the same for my liquidity ratios. I can do that, and then I can also make it look pretty and create borders for it to look like a real table. I can adjust decimal for my cash ratio, and over here as well. Remember, I want you to do 2 decimals. Let me name it Microsoft Financial Statement Analysis. I want you to discuss and make observations about what's happening to this company. Let's look at my return on equity at Microsoft. The return on equity at Microsoft has decreased from 2017 to 2018, but then it increased quite a bit, almost doubled from 2018 to 2019. Look at any news that you may be able to find as to what happened at the company. But another way to do it is to actually look at your DuPont decomposition. What's driving this? What's causing this return of equity to drop and then go up again? Let's see. I can see my net profit margin dropped dramatically in 2018, but last year it rose quite a bit, which is great news. If your profit margin is increasing, that's great news. At the same time, my asset turnover has increased steadily. That's also good. That means that I'm utilizing a lot of assets in relation to my sales. And then my equity multiplier has increased a little bit and decreased later. When the equity multiplier decreases, that means the company is reducing leverage. This is consistent with changes to return on equity, which overall I would say that's a good thing for the company, but remember to check the competition. Now, moving on to my liquidity ratios. My current ratio is almost 3 for 2017, and it drops to 2.9 in 2018 and 2.5 in 2019. I want my current ratio to be quite high, but remember to check the industry. Now my quick ratio is also dropping, but to a small extent, similarly to the current ratio. And my cash ratio is increasing and decreasing, but still stays relatively stable. I would say the liquidity of this company is fairly stable, and the company has quite a bit of current assets to offset its liabilities. But check how other firms in your industry perform when it comes to liquidity ratios.